Hey guys, Ben Copenhaver at CopeGrand. So we're currently on one of our renovation projects, very close to oceanfront. Beautiful golf course views, beautiful marsh views, beautiful renovation views. So we're currently decladding the exterior on this particular project. And as we're decladding the exterior, we're always paying particular attention to what products were being used. And not only that, but also the application. And we can understand that the best practices of the past are not always the best practices of the future. Well, you might say, what do you mean by that? Well, let's take a look at this rear elevation to help dissect this. All right, guys, so this is a rear elevation, portion of rear elevation on this particular project. And we know that we're very close to the ocean. So the ocean is going to give us an increased factor of moisture, humidity, air infiltration, and a lot of pressure on this rear elevation. Now, as we're taking a look at this project, we're going to see that a Tyvek weather membrane was installed on the whole exterior. And just a few key notes we want to pay attention to was most manufacturers of exterior weather planes are not going to allow you, or not going to recommend to install it on a diagonal. And why not? Well, we don't want water infiltration to come in through this seam right here. We know that water flows downhill, and if it flows downhill and gets sideways in this seam, we know that we're going to have some moisture issues. And also, another key note to take a look at on this particular elevation is when the original window installers installed the windows, they didn't flash the head flashing properly. They simply just taped over the exterior of the window and called it a day. Well, we know that this is always going to give us an issue. It's always going to invite moisture, air, pressure, all the above inside the home. And what's going to happen is eventually that rot's going to happen. So on these two headers here, we have an increased amount of rot on the inside where it's actually rotted out the structural membranes. And also all that moisture that got in from up top has all now traveled down through the house, rotted out the beams, the top plates, and also came down to the bottom. So we can see where this has affected the bottom plate, even out to the exterior OSB. And what it's caused this house to do in multiple different locations is from the rot and the decay, the house is settled to an extent of 1.5 to 2.5 inches in some locations. So we can see, what do we learn from this? Well, we can see that the exterior weather membrane, exterior weather barrier, is one of the most important components and application that you can pay attention to while doing your renovation or while building your new home. So please pay particular attention to making sure that you choose the right exterior products to use when it comes to weather membranes, and also that the flashing details are being followed per manufacturer spec to make sure that you have a solid investment in your project. All right, guys, so what did we learn? Number one, we need to make sure that we have high quality exterior weather membranes. We also need to make sure that we have high quality flashing details. And along with that, we need to make sure that we have a qualified installer that knows how to install the exterior weather membrane and systems per the manufacturer's recommendations. In doing so, we can make sure that our investment is going to be sound, and also make sure that we don't have any exterior air infiltration and water infiltration, because we can see what the cost of regret does from doing it the improper way. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us.